Hello, everyone. It's Friday, February the 25th. I'm gonna move along as quickly as we possibly can. I know we're a little late getting on today. We just went through a really nice meeting on a hydrogen hub that we're trying really hard to land in West Virginia. Senator Manchin kind of headed up the call, and Senator Capito was on, as well as Congressman McKinley and a bunch of the energy folks and a bunch of the economic development folks from our side, as well as energy folks from D.C. But a good meeting, a good first meeting and everything. We're going to keep plowing as hard as we can to see if we can land that in West Virginia, and it'd be a really exciting time to encompass all forms of energy and everything. And if there was ever a time in our nation and in our world today, we ought to recognize with what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and many other parts of the world, just how energy can be weaponized. And I would just pass this on. I won't belabor on this at all, but I would pass on to the Biden administration. It's time to reset. It's time to step back and say, as Jeffro Bodine would say, "Pert and I made a mistake, didn't I, Uncle Jed?" I mean, with all that, if you just step back and reset, the American people would understand. If you step back and said, for God's sakes a living, this country needs to be totally energy independent. Without any question whatsoever, if we were that today, we would feel better, we would feel stronger, we would be better for the world in every way. Now, all of us want absolutely clean air, the most pristine waters, absolutely without any question. That is exactly what I want. Now, my family's been in the coal business for generations, but that doesn't mean that my family's not rock solid behind doing the right things in every way we possibly can for the environment, and our heart being in the right spot. But absolutely, it ain't gonna matter where our heart is. If we have people on our doorstep, and dragging us back into another major war situation, it ain't gonna matter where our heart is. At the same time, we want to do any and everything we can to solve all the potential climate issues in every way. And I would say, with all in me, some way, somehow, to God above, we may just have to have some time, some extra time, in order to be able to be totally energy independent. Why on earth, please hit the reset button on Keystone and everything else that we can do in this nation, because we are exposed. And absolutely with all that, then we should absolutely, without question, after we absolutely go back and obtain our complete energy independence, we absolutely then should tackle any climate issues that we have in a smart and truly scientific way. We should absolutely know what we're tackling, and we'll solve it, won't we? We've solved over and over and over, dilemma after dilemma, problem after problem, by being the great Americans that we are. Now, to me, that's my tidbit. You watch on TV and we're all concerned. Prices will probably go through the roof for energy. And with all that being said, with where we are inflation-wise and all the challenges we have right now, without any question, it's not going to be good. I would challenge the Biden administration. It's time to reset. I go back to Jeffro Bodine standing by the cement pond with an anvil in his hand and a chain tied to the anvil and to his ankle. And he said, and Jed walked up and said, "Jeffro, what are you doing?" He said, "My girl done dumped me, and I'm going to throw this anvil in the cement pond and drown myself." And Jed said, "Jeffro, what good's that going to do you?" And he just paused and he thought, And he said, "Pert and I made a mistake, didn't I, Uncle Jed?" Well, absolutely, the Biden administration doesn't need to throw the anvil in the middle of the swimming pool with the chain tied at their ankles. Without any question, we've made mistakes. reset, get this nation going the right way. And I challenge all the people in the world, especially in our country, there's no need in throwing rocks. There's no need in that now. Absolutely, you know how serious this situation could be. And so let's reset and get this nation going exactly the right way. And I beg them, quit listening to these crazies that are in your ears all the time. Please do that. But nevertheless, I'm sorry I got off on that and everything. Please forgive me. And let me go back to this. And this is because this is what this briefing really is. This is an extremely serious and sad time. We lost another 58 people in West Virginia. Our numbers and all that are getting better, and our color-coded maps much better and all that. But, surely it's not good for these folks. So keep them in your prayers. And like I said, I'm sorry I got on that. But nevertheless, the 6,251st death is a 69-year-old male from Putnam County. The 6,252nd death is a 78-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 6,253rd death is a 71-year-old female from Calhoun County. The 6,254th death is a 73-year-old female from Harrison County. The 6,255th death is a 77-year-old male from Mercer County. The 6,256th death is a 77-year-old male from Jackson County. The 6,257th death, a 53-year-old male from Mercer County. The 6,258th death, a 67-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 6,259th death, a 75-year-old female from Greenbrier County. The 6,260th death, a 71-year-old female from Lincoln County. The 6,261st death, an 89-year-old female from Mercer County. The 6,262nd death, a 90-year-old female from Barber County. The 6,263rd death, an 83-year-old male from Wetzel County. The 6,264th death, a 70-year-old male from Summers County. The 6,265th death, a 67-year-old female from Marion County. The 6,266th death, a 96-year-old female from Barber County. The 6,267th death, an 81-year-old male from Preston County. The 6,268th death, a 69-year-old male from Barber County. The 6,269th death, an 80-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 6,270th death, a 64-year-old female from McDowell County. The 6,271st death, a 56-year-old female from Hampshire County. The 6,272nd death, an 83-year-old female from Braxton County. The 6,273rd death, a 61-year-old female from Cabell County. The 6,274th death, a 74-year-old female from Pocahontas County. The 6,275th death, a 74-year-old male from Wayne County. The 6,276th death, a 63-year-old male from Boone County. The 6,277th death, a 71-year-old female from Preston County. The 6,278th death, a 66-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 6,279th death, an 80-year-old male from Barber County. The 6,280th death, an 85-year-old female from Marshall County. The 6,281st death, a 72-year-old female from Nicholas County. The 6,282nd death, a 71-year-old male from Cabell County. The 6,283rd death, good gosh. Oh, I hate this when I'm going through this. A 30-year-old male from Wayne County. Oh, man. 6,284th death, a 62-year-old male from Jefferson County. The 6,285th death, a 76-year-old male from Putnam County. The 6,286th death, an 81-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 6,287th death, a 95-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 6,288th death, a 90-year-old male from Wetzel County. The 6,289th death, an 83-year-old female from Putnam County. The 6,290th death, an 88-year-old male from Hampshire County. The 6,291st death is a 66-year-old female from Mingo County. The 6,292nd death, an 82-year-old male from Logan County. The 6,293rd death, a 70-year-old male from Wood County. The 6,294th death, a 92-year-old female from Mingo County. The 6,295th death, an 80-year-old male from Fayette County. The 6,296th death, a 73-year-old female from Kanawha County, the 6,297th death of a 75-year-old male from Jefferson County, the 6,298th death of an 84-year-old male from Wood County, the 6,299th death of a 70-year-old female from Berkeley County, the 6,300th death in West Virginia is a 64-year-old male from Wayne County, the 6,301st death of an 81-year-old female from Fayette County, the 6,378th death of a 78-year-old female from Lincoln County, the 6,303rd death of a 63-year-old male from Braxton County, the 6,304th death of a 92-year-old male from Raleigh County, the 6,305th death of a 60-year-old male from Randolph County, the 6,306th death of a 79-year-old male from Raleigh County, the 6,307th death of an 87-year-old female from Wyoming County, and the 6,308th death in West Virginia. 6,308 deaths in West Virginia. There's a 71-year-old female from Hampshire County. Let me just check something really quick here. I'll talk to you just in a second about this, but I just read 58 names of people we lost in West Virginia. One of them, very tragically, 30 years old. Of all these people, 58 of them, one of them 30 years old. Take that one out of the mix. 57 people. How many of these people did I read that were under the age of 50? Zero. Zero. How many did I read under the age of 60? 2. Now, I'm telling you, if you're fully vaccinated and you're 60 years old, you're 50 years old, and you don't get that booster shot, that's nuts. That's all there is to it. You are exposing yourself like crazy. We're losing our wisdom in West Virginia. Absolutely, these people absolutely could guide and direct our young people. They're absolute sons and daughters, and we're losing our wisdom. You got to get that booster shot. That's all there is to it. Active cases are just over 3,000, 3,309. New positive cases, 913. Our daily positivity rate's at 5.97. The cumulative is 8.39. All those are, well, the cumulative is still going to move, on the upward trend and everything, but everything here is looking better. We're almost to 480,000 recovered cases in West Virginia. We've got 588 in the hospital, 133 in the ICU units, and 76 on ventilators. That 588 in the hospital, it's been a long time since we were there. We were almost double that not long ago. Look at our map. Look at our county, our statewide map. No red, no orange, 32 green counties. All that looks so much better. The CDC, and just wait to hear from them and everything. Who knows what they'll come up with next? But they're moving toward guidance on loosening the mask mandate. Yay, 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 yay. About time. So from the standpoint of one other thing, this is really, now this one I'm going to take time and go through. This is really good stuff right here. There's a third round of pandemic benefit that is coming, our way and everything, and this is called the PEBT benefits. It basically provides school lunch programs, and we've already received the benefits of $328 million. This is a third round that's going to pour in another $82 million in West Virginia in regard to that. Secretary Crouch could have more about that, but that's good stuff. As far as the home test units and everything, go to our covidtest.gov and you can get all the information on that. The Biden administration also is providing 3 N95 masks per person. That's at the pharmacies and at the health centers. I've told you about the antibodies. We do have 2 different types that we can fight with and everything. Some of them have been discontinued and everything, but if you get feeling bad, get tested quickly, where we'll know if you're positive, and then we can move and try to do something about it. You know, from the standpoint of our National Guard, you know, I go over and over and over just how incredibly important that they are, and all the great stuff they're doing. Now that the next greatest thing that's going on is with the potential trucker situation in D.C. We're deploying 80 of our guard members, you know, to D.C. to help with traffic control and pedestrian control and all that in D.C. right now. These people do everything, and God bless them in every way, every single way. I've told you about the booster stuff. You know, get your booster shot. I've told you about our numbers the other day. We crossed 90% again for our 65 and olders that have had 1 shot. That's really good. We're up to 409,931 people that have had a booster shot. That's not nearly as good as what we want it to be, but it's better, but it's just slow. All the information on our COVID line is up. You know, all the free testing stuff. We thank Frith, we thank Walgreens over and over and over for all the good stuff that they've done. We got 146 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities, none in our church community. We're down to 145 inmate cases and 38 staff cases, and that's good stuff. You know, we surely want it to be 0, but at one time it was approaching well over 1,000 staff and inmate together. I remind you about giving blood. It's really important. I remind you about calling us about this rental assistance. If you're a renter or a landlord, call us. We may very well be able to turn some money right in your pocket. This Job Jumpstart program is on our way. We're mimicking Oklahoma on that. There was a lot of good results in Oklahoma. We're going to give people a $1,500, incentive check if we can get you back to work and on the job. It'll help our businesses that are looking for you. We'll lower our unemployment rate. It's already at historic lows. We'll even lower it more. And more than anything, we want you to feel like, you're back in the system. You're back in every way. You have every reason to be really proud of yourself, and we want you back to work. So it's there for you. It's open to you right now. I've already said something about Ukraine and all that's going on there. We offer up our prayers for those people, and it's just sad. It's just really, really, really sad. And we don't know what. We really don't know what the repercussions are, but we know the repercussions for us in this country are not going to be good. They're surely not to the magnitude whatsoever of Ukraine, but this thing could get bad. It could get bad, and it could get worse. And so, we don't know, the marriage, if there is a marriage that is happening between China and Russia. We don't know to the extent of what Putin really wants to do. We know in his heart he'd like to put everything back together to where the Soviet Union was at one time, if not more. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. And so with all that being said, I don't think we need to be throwing any rocks at this point in time, but for God's sakes a-living, we need to realize we have made one whale of a mistake in this country. The pipeline should be finished in West Virginia. The Keystone Pipeline ought to be up and going. We ought to be absolutely, without question, trying to embrace anything to make our environment and the world better. But we got to live here, don't we? And really, when it really boils right down to it, what we've got to do is we've got to realize that there's some real bad actors out there. And with all of that, the United States of America could be totally energy independent, and the bad actors would be minimized at that point in time. Without any question, we've got to do that first, and then tackle all the climate issues after that, which I know we can win too. We can win that day. We can solve those problems. But for crying out loud, you can't do it running down the street with your hands tied behind your back. That's not going to work. and especially if you're running down the street with your hands tied behind your back and somebody's shooting at you. So in this situation, they're shooting at somebody today, and God knows, I hope and pray that it doesn't come where they're shooting at Americans, but this thing could get bad. I've said stuff about our guard going to D.C. Again, thank you to and all them. These are just really quick announcements and everything. I promised you information about Hyperloop and everything, and I think in digging into it, I hope General Hoyer's with us today, where he can maybe add some more to it and everything, or and we can bring you into the discussion with WVU. And I just see a note from our people that General Hoyer is not with us today, and maybe we ought to delay any questions until Monday, because I won't be able to help you nearly as much as General Hoyer will be able to help you. But the bottom line of the whole thing is just what I just said the other day. They are moving towards away from passenger and into cargo. We think the concept of what they have is intriguing beyond belief. These people are good people. We're going to keep pushing them. They're going to keep pushing us. We're going to make it happen to the very best we can possibly make it happen. But we got to realize one thing for sure. Things change, don't they? They just change. What are we doing? We're fishing with lots of different rods in all kinds of different areas and everything, and we're bringing them in all kinds of different ways. Things change. We move on. We keep pushing, and we keep moving on, and we keep fishing. The only other thing I've got is the big buck contest winners we're going to announce, and we're going to announce it as quick as we get done right here and everything. And we congratulate, we'll be congratulating, really, to tell you all the truth, a whole lot of kids. And so that'll be fun stuff. Anyway, thank you so much. That picture just came up there. Put that back up, Jordan. I wasn't there that day. There's a little dog, it was one of my bird dogs, and her name is Jazz, and a pretty little English setter and everything. She's gotten older just like all of us, but she's gotten a lot older, in her life, and she's still with us, but, she's, her eyesight, for all practical purposes, is gone, but she's a big sweetheart, that's for sure. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Governor. We'll now hear from Secretary Bill Crouch with the DHHR.
As the governor mentioned, we're going to do a third round of the PEBT payments. That's the Pandemic Electronic Benefit Transfer program that benefits students who would have received free or reduced lunches under the National School Lunch Program due to COVID-19. West Virginia's program is administered jointly by the Department of Education and DHHR. DHHR will roll out benefits in April of 2022 and apply those benefits retroactively to the beginning of the school year. Families with eligible students can expect to receive a single issuance for the fall 2021 term and 2 additional payments for the spring 2022 term. Households will receive a letter from DHHR about their student PEBT benefits. The ongoing pandemic has provided uncertain times in our schools, and we're hopeful that these payments will assist families in keeping children nourished and ready to learn. Thank you, George.
All right, thank you, Secretary. Dr. Clay Marsh is also joining us today and is available for questions. Retired Major General Jim Hoyer and Dr. Ayn Amjad have prior engagements. They will rejoin us on Monday. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11.
Hi, thanks for taking a moment for a question. Governor, both the DEP Cabinet Secretary and you reacted to reports about ethylene oxide emissions in the Kanawha Valley last week. Could you talk about the efforts from your standpoint by the DEP to check into that situation, which was created by the EPA, and if you're satisfied with their efforts and the direction that we're moving as far as that problem is concerned? Thank you.
Well, Kenny, for what I know, I am completely satisfied. From what I know about his heart and his soul, Harold Ward, is a really good man. And from that standpoint, from what I know about just the fact that he's a West Virginian, and he wants goodness for West Virginia. And I do know that from the standpoint of compliance, and I don't think, and you know, EPA is tough. And I don't think EPA is going to give anybody a blessing on compliance if they think that it is endangering the people of West Virginia. You know, I think what happened is you had a wannabe newscaster that started running through the streets screaming fire, 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 fire. Now, if you run through the streets enough on every topic in the world screaming fire, 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 along the way, at some point in time, you may hit on something. But in this situation, I really do believe that, you know, with the good work that the DEP is doing, I've got to have confidence in them. You know, to be perfectly honest, this is way above my pay grade as far as technicality. I've got to depend on the DEP. And the DEP has done a rock solid job, and they've been completely transparent in what they're doing, and they're going to continue to work on this. And if something changes, we change with it. And so we'll continue to monitor and we'll continue to do the work. But that's all I can give you, Kenny.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Next to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, I want to follow up on my question from earlier in the week. You said you were going to speak with the folks at WVU about Hyperloop. Is there anything else you can tell us about that situation?
Just what I just said just a second ago, you know, Charles. I think now we have confirmed they're moving away from Hyperloops, moving away from passenger transportation to transporting goods, and I think there's still a real opportunity here in West Virginia, and you know, and we're still standing in the wings, you know, welcoming them in every way. I think WVU is still at work, you know, with Hyperloop right now. General Hoyer is working that as well, and I think he'll come in on Monday. I was hopeful that he was here today, that he could give more in-depth stuff. But the last thing I would just say to anyone and everyone, you know, I mean, good sakes of living, you know, there's so many businesses that are calling, wanting to come to West Virginia right now. It is unbelievable. And with the good work, you know, of our commerce people, you know, and Ed Gaunch, or our, you know, economic development people, and, you know, Mitch Carmichael and Mike Grain, good gracious, they're doing fabulous work. And so with all that, we're just going to keep piling them up. We're going to just absolutely keep them coming to West Virginia. And we're going to have some, you know, some bumps and bruises along the way, and that don't work out exactly maybe the way we hoped it'd work out. And if this happens to be one of them, fine. And if not, you know, it may very well even do better than what we'd hoped it would do before. But General Hoyer can bring a lot more on Monday to that too.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next to Evan Bevins with Ogden Newspapers.
Thank you. I was hoping to get Dr. Marsh's thoughts on what the CDC may be recommending about masks soon, and what his thoughts are on you know, the importance of masks as we move into, you know, this situation with the virus. Thank you. Dr.
Marsh, please.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Evan. So the CDC has made, I think, a decision that because hospital numbers are down, cases are significantly down, and Omicron is very infectious, that having the same standards to recommend masking would not make sense at this point. And so they are looking at trying to, I believe, change some of the metrics that they're following to make recommendations of masking. But I think that, Evan, what you've seen around the country and what the governor has been very consistent in doing is to make the mask policies really done at, you know, the local levels. And I think that as we go forward, what you will see is that there's going to be a transition from governmental direction of people to empowerment of people at individual levels to be able to manage their own health and their own protection. As the governor said many times, and all of the data supports this, that being fully vaccinated and boosted is absolutely the best way that anyone can protect themselves from getting COVID, from getting sick, going to the hospital with COVID, dying of COVID, and even being more susceptible to long COVID. And if you are over 50 years old, as the governor pointed out today, as he read all the names at the beginning of the press brief, if you're over 50 years old and you haven't been fully vaccinated and boosted, please do that. And in that way, if you're in the most vulnerable age categories, you know, over 50, 65 or older with other medical conditions, you may decide that wearing a mask to protect yourself if you're in indoor settings with other people that you don't know might make sense, because we know that if you're not fully vaccinated and boosted and older, then you are the prototypical person that has a higher risk for getting really ill with COVID-19 if indeed you do catch it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Evan. Next to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Morning, Governor. Good morning, everyone. Good to hear Dr. Marsh was able to answer a question. I thought he was going to get off scot-free with nothing today. The question I have for you, Governor, regards the surpluses that you have been reporting month after month in the budget. When you have, and I hate to call it extra money, but we'll call it extra money, usually you come up with a plan with what to do with it. What are your plans? What can you do unilaterally? What would you need to get permission from the legislature in doing? Thank you.
Well, Paul, first and foremost, you know, I don't know all the specific intricacies about permission, but I don't look at it that way from the legislature. I want them to partner in everything that I'm doing. From the standpoint of transparency, I want them right with me, and we'll get through all that, I'm sure. You know, you know, you've got a lot of people from time to time that everybody's jumping up and down trying to get seen and all that, but when you can get the ground fodder just, you know, minimized, then you can get on with the business at hand, and I hope and pray we'll always do just that here in West Virginia. But what I would say to you that we need to concentrate on more than anything in the world is you know, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy getting to this. I mean, let's don't ever forget. You know, there's an old saying, don't ever forget who brung you to the dance. Well, I mean, you know, there was a time not long ago when all we could think of was how much are we going to have to cut? And every time you cut, what happened? More people left. More people left. And every time you turned around, that hole that you were trying to fix, it just kept coming right with you. You just drug it everywhere you went. You couldn't get away from it no matter what. The more people, the more you cut, the more they leave. And so with all that, we had to come up with real novel ideas and turn this state in the right direction. And lo and behold, look what's happening. I mean, it is not just a little extra money. And I know you don't mean it that way, Paul, but it is major extra money. And it is major success. Now, I would tell you just two things that we have got to do. We have got to continue to pump more and more money into fixing all and every single one of our roads. There's two things that people look for right off the get-go. Right off the get-go about coming to West Virginia, the first thing they ask is, well, tell me about education. Where are my kids going to be in school? And the next thing they ask always is how the roads. You know, I got to go places. I got to get in, get out, all that kind of stuff. I got to have good roads. And so with all of that, not only do the roads bring us all that I've just said, but they bring us job opportunity over and over and over. Now, so in my opinion, you got to continue to pump money into roads, and right behind that, I would say just this too. I would say, you know, I am really committed to all of our roads in the state of West Virginia, but I do really believe that the number one thing we should finish is Quarter H. I think we should finish the Coalfield Expressways to bring the southern part of West Virginia into our entire state being in wealth and all the stuff that's going on. And there's all kinds of other opportunities, and there's enough monies to be able to do all the stuff that we're doing. But the second thing, Paul, is just this. We have got to realize that if West Virginia is truly going to compete and West Virginia is really going to bring folks to West Virginia, there needs to be a fund developed and everything and properly funded all the time to give our economic development people the opportunity to go out and solicit and compete with the other states in bringing job opportunity to this state. And Paul, the last thing I'd say is there's 1,000 things that you could up and spend money on. And there's 1,000 ideas if there's not more than that and everything. But with every single bit of that, the very thing we need to do more than anything is not waste, mind to store, mind to store. Just because you got the money, you go out and spend the money, you absolutely spend around 2 or 3 times, then it's not going to be good. Now, so we're going to mind the store. I'm a business guy. That's what I do. We're going to mind the store, and we're going to absolutely do the right things with that money, and we're going to do it transparent, and we're going to do it arm in arm with the legislature right with us. So that's it.
All right, thanks, Paul. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, I'm going to be real quick. I haven't made any notes today and everything. I'd ask for your prayers for these people that we lost. I'd ask for your prayers for all the people that are in Ukraine and you know, even the misguided Russians. I'd ask for your prayer for them to where they could get their heads going in the right directions. I ask for your prayers for all of our people and executives in D.C., you know, President Biden and all those, that they would just come to their senses and realize that America doesn't need to be weak. We are America. We are the beacon of the entire world, and we don't need to be weak. And with all of that, we have the opportunity, because again, it's just fallen on us out of the sky. But it just didn't happen that way. God made this happen. With our natural resources of coal and oil and natural gas everywhere. In this great nation, we need to be so energy independent, it's unbelievable. God made it that way. He did that for a reason, because he knew we were the beacon. Absolutely, we don't need to be weak. But with all that being said, that's all I got today. Stay tough, West Virginia. Proud of you. Thank you.